It happened! Elon Musk finally reveals new warp drive Starship 2022. Some of the legendary scientific fiction movies have painted in our minds a fascinating image of what space travel should be like in one of the fancy spaceships that graced our screens. Have you ever wondered what makes spaceships zip faster than light in those space movies that we loved so much? Is it achievable in real life? That is what Elon Musk and SpaceX have come out to reveal in their latest publication. I think we should add the sentence, "Stay tuned in this episode to find out why Elon Musk resigned from SpaceX." Hello and welcome. This is your favorite channel, Unlimited SpaceX. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more exciting news. We've all been awaiting what kind of new advancement we'll get to see concerning SpaceX's groundbreaking new spacecraft, the Starship. To better understand the warp drive concept, I think we need to dive a bit into why Elon Musk started considering it in the first place. The journey to Mars is an incredibly long one, and the prior venture of astronauts to the moon and back over the space age and to date saw most of these astronauts suffer certain health complications. Many could barely have use of their legs after aligning from their carriages. Some had difficulties adapting their digestive system to regular Earth food. Do you have an idea what causes these? It is none other than microgravity. Microgravity is simply a case of low gravity that astronauts in space often experience, whether they're landing on the moon or hanging at the International Space Station or in their rockets. The human body was not built to withstand the pressures of outer space, and rightly so. No oxygen, and you can barely keep your feet on the ground and walk like we're biologically wired to do. The challenges of low gravity are to be expected. It was necessary for scientists to theoretically determine the best way to deal with such a situation. Otherwise, all aspirations of ever visiting other worlds aside from ours would be put out like a candle in the wind. Given the sheer size of Elon Musk's vision for bringing humanity to settle on Mars, development on the Starship has not stopped in any case. In the process, he discussed the possibility of combating microgravity. It's apparent that despite the strict workout schedule that astronauts adopt while on missions, they still suffer certain discomfortures from spending weeks and months in space. Hence, Elon Musk was concerned that the journey to Mars could take at least 7 months, even with the overall accelerating capacity of the Starship. The well-being of the intended 1 million passengers had to be put into complete focus, and it prompted Elon Musk and his team to devise a probable solution to this problem. Scientists have discussed all the best ways to overcome the microgravity, and it's to have its form of artificial gravity engine. All theories suggest that it might be unable to fully keep passengers of the Starship grounded with enough gravitational force to stimulate the one we have on Earth. But it would reduce the effects of microgravity as long as astronauts can walk almost normally and eat while not turning on their heads all the time. If the Starship took that long to reach Mars, measures would have to be in place to protect the 100-ton cargo capacity of Starship passengers. After all, any challenge that undermines that purpose would make the whole project a bit of a failure, significantly if it affected a lot more people than predicted. We cannot effectively rule out the possibility attached to the risks and all, but we have been thinking along with Elon Musk and his engineering team. What if there was a way to reduce the duration of the journey entirely to about half the time? That sounds pretty exciting. So we think nothing else would work other than for the rocket's speed to be increased massively. We're not aware of any feasible way to happen, except maybe in the movies. How does Elon Musk plan to raise the speed limit of the Starship? That is where warp drive comes into play. You might not have heard it before, but in theory, it was seen as a technology that could work if it was possible to attain it. Warp drives could probably help us make the journey to Mars more bearable and much shorter. It could help Elon Musk take people to Mars much faster by 2050. Having the right technology is priceless when it comes to space exploration. Despite the wealth of resources that SpaceX has, all dreams of a settlement in Mars would continue to pen, while issues such as microgravity and radiation are a challenge. The Starship is shielded, but it has little to offer when it comes to developing artificial gravity. Hence, the concept of warp drive solves the challenge on both ends, and that seems quite soothing. We'll learn more about the technical features of the warp drive and the current state of scientific studies on the subject in an instant. Warp drives were born out of a Star Trek-esque motivation, a show Elon Musk is a huge fan of. He seems to have a lot of ideas on how to apply the technology, and if they make headway, testing could start this year. So many people have criticized Elon Musk and his push for Mars colonization. One notable scientist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, has told Elon to forget about his EVs, Starlink, Neuralink, and rocket tests to focus on creating a warp drive. Neil is a top scientist, but this particular statement is not to be taken as a contributory statement. It was sort of a jibe at Elon Musk to indicate that his grand plans are a fantasy comparable to Star Trek. That's what we think, by the way, and Elon Musk could relate as well. He's never let such comments slide. He took the word in stride and responded as if he would consider it. That was probably the first time that Elon Musk brushed against the idea of a warp drive, and it would only surface in a recent tweet where he discussed the creation of a Mars city. Elon Musk himself thinks that the city would provide the right motivations to challenge the world to push for the development of more technologies that can efficiently get us to planets beyond Mars. The warp drive is not new to the world of physicists, given that over 28 years ago, a Mexican scientist named Miguel Albuquerque made a strange proposition about a fantastic technology that could replicate Star Trek's warp drive. And spacecrafts can efficiently glide across the universe at a faster speed than light. We would zoom through a streak of light and boom, we're able to enter the surface of another planet. It remained a hypothesis, as it would technically require the very fabric of reality being bent somewhat. I'm sure you understand the whole movie reference now. The idea wasn't just attractive, it inspired NASA to conduct their research into the possibilities of it all. But the studies presented different issues that eventually ruled out the technology's viability until recently. With the development of SpaceX to serve as a good enough motivation, 2 US-based scientists have taken upon themselves to upend the work of Albuquerque and solve many of the issues observed in the paper. They decoded the mystery of warp technology, but suggested that moving faster than light could be out of reach for the current generation. The work already has its ground basis defined by Einstein's general relativity. Theoretically, it could be possible to bend space-time by introducing matter and energy that would propel such a movement through space. It would be teleportation at best, but for spacecraft. For now, the speed of light remains the primary barrier to which we're restricted, and this pegs the maximum acceleration at around 300,000 kilometers per second. Even with the current state of the Starship, we don't know if it can reach such a speed without engine failure. That answer can only be provided when pro-orbital travel is embarked upon. Elon Musk sees the warp drive as a potential technology that Elon Musk could develop after settling on Mars. It puts the time range of developing Albuquerque's warp drive in the Starship within about 30 years, if we consider 2050. 2022 is laying the groundwork for the planning and mapping out ideas for the warp drive. It could be something that gets to become a reality in our lifetime. What do you think are Elon Musk's chances to finally build a warp drive into the Starship? Is it even possible for us to warp travel?